Greetings, magnificent souls, to the Attract Health, Build Wealth podcast, where we have open and honest discussions about ourselves. This is a place where we break down, break away, and break through codependency, allowing ourselves to attract health, build wealth, and live a peaceful life. We are tired of being sick and tired. We are tired, but we are not giving up. We know that there is something magnificent inside of us. And because we are fighting daily, hourly, and by the minute, fighting ourselves, our kids, our spouses, we have to do things differently. We have to break the cycle. We don't have a million chances. We have to be happy now. We have to find a way. So how do we do that? How is that possible? If you look around at what society is telling you, they tell you that what we're doing is impossible. Yet it's happening every single day. And it's happening through the practice and the love that we call awakening the magnificent soul. We are all magnificent souls, and these are our stories of healing. Today in episode 21, I wanted to discuss a codependent trait that I've noticed as I've dug myself out of the hole of codependency. And that is the diminishing of the importance of tools to keep yourself aligned. So I'll dive in deeper in a moment, but before we begin the discussion, don't forget to let me know your thoughts about this episode, any feedback you have, or anything you'd like me to cover on future podcasts at www.epiphanyvault.com. Remember, you can share anonymously. It is a safe place, and I would welcome the discussion. So back to what I wanted to talk about today. What I've learned throughout my journey of codependency is that this is not something that's just going to go away. It's not something that just an affirmation is going to help with. It's not something that reading a book is going to help with. And it's not a switch that we can turn on and off. And as we talked about here before, these codependent traits that we have been groomed with our entire life, it's like a muscle. It's been honed and toned and reacts to our environment as it's been trained to do, mostly dysfunctionally, obviously, as is evidenced by our relationships with ourselves and with others. What's interesting about codependency is that it's such a self-defeating state of being. The self-toxicity is so high that even if you found a magical cure or a magical pill, you might just not take it. And it's such a pervasively self-destructive construct that the use of tools like we will be discussing today is more than hard. Sometimes it's impossible. And this procrastination is a codependent trait that I've noticed. And think about it. Think about how counterintuitive that is. And I know I may not be making sense at all, but it's what we do. We don't think we are worth it, really, so we stop before we even start. And I think this is so important to call out because when I reached a point of just giving up, I felt like I'd tried everything. I tried therapy. I tried reasoning it out with my partner. I tried daily affirmations. I tried adopting the daily habits of millionaires. I tried watching, reading, practicing the art of, quote unquote, The Secret. I tried writing out my feelings, and I can go on and on and on of all these different things that I tried. And I remember being so frustrated and trying all these things only to be more unhappy. The expectation on doing these things was just so high that I felt like these actions would make my life better. And let's be real, the list of things you can do to quote unquote be successful or quote unquote be happy is infinite. But here's the thing. The list of quote unquote to-dos it's in other people's terms. Not to say that those steps are irrelevant or any less powerful, but if you were like me, something was missing. Wires weren't connecting, and said actions weren't resulting in the final results as advertised. So I'm calling this out to you today to let you know that I am with you. You are not alone. So I thought it would be helpful to share with you some soul tools that I use to keep up my soul maintenance and to keep myself aligned. And soul maintenance is the best way that I can express how important it is for me to keep up with these practices. And just like you would maintain a car, I feel as if the soul maintenance is essential for aligning and opening up with myself. And if I get off track with this, I feel misaligned and I start to drift back into my old ways. And if you're completely confused about where I'm coming from, what I want to do now is I want to lay out for you what I do to keep up with my soul maintenance. And what I want to tell you is also what kept me from doing these things consistently and the excuses that I gave myself for procrastinating or not even attempting these practices. And remember, these are limiting beliefs. These limiting beliefs keeps us in the pattern of dysfunction that we're used to. So if we can together debunk these limiting beliefs, we will be all the better and open to soul maintenance and awakening. So let's begin. Here are the 5 soul tools that I use every day to keep myself aligned. The first one is sunlight. I take 10 minutes of sunlight a day, at least, preferably in the morning. It will open up your day to glory. I walk my dogs immediately after I get out of bed in the morning. And the natural light is good for the body. It's good for the self. And there are obviously many studies that point to being in nature for at least 10 minutes a day to be being chemically beneficial in your body, and to borrow a slogan, doing the body good. But the limiting beliefs that I thought of for not making this a practice, not getting exposure to 10 minutes of sunlight a day, would not be having enough time, too hungover, just depressed, don't feel like getting out of bed and don't feel like doing it, or just can't find the time to do it at all. So, sound familiar? Soul tool number 2 is meditate. Harness your mind and set your intention for the day by meditating for at least 10 minutes. As we all know, that the reason that we're here and that probably you're even listening or watching is that our minds are powerful. We create our realities with our minds, and many times our minds are not our best allies. Doesn't make sense, but it's true. But the importance of meditation is so huge in this regard. So by adding meditation to my soul maintenance, that inner peace, that self-love, and inner calm came with it. Now, let me say this too. Meditation for me isn't always peaceful. I don't always get it right. And a lot of times I'm interrupted by a knock on the door or by my dogs. So our lives are not Instagram feeds. And that's okay. That's one of the biggest hurdles that I had to overcome with this particular soul tool, is wanting it to be perfect. I want to say this, and I want you to accept it. This will not be perfect. But what is? I'm not, you're not. Relish in that and enjoy the time that you can be with your mind and its imperfections. Soul tool number 3 is move. Find a way to move your body and muscles for at least 10 minutes a day, preferably at a different speed or activity than we did at soul tool number 1, sunlight. And for some people, that's the gym. For some people, it's running. For me, it's either yoga or hiking. Find something, and an emphasis is find something you like to do. If it's not something you like to do, or if it is something you like to do, do it. If you don't like to do it, don't. Simple. For many, many years, I would go to the gym because that's what others told me I needed to do to be fit. And moving the body in this way, in the way that you feel connected to, feeds your muscles and your mind. And they can work in tandem for the overall good of yourself. Limiting beliefs for moving would be much the same for getting sunlight. No time, too hungover, my kids have to go to school, etc. Or even it's not fun. I don't like it. I'm hurt. Do you identify with any of those? Soul tool number 4 is feed your mind. Read or listen to 10 to 30 minutes every day. I have a wealth of books that I would recommend. In fact, I did a review on The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which has been the biggest influence in my life. But find something that you will learn from And turn off your electronics, of course, unless you're listening, but turn off the notifications. I find that the actual act of reading is much more effective than listening to audiobooks, but really dig deep on what works best for you. I think the benefits of feeding your mind are obvious. Just like you would work your muscles and eat food, your mind needs nourishment as well. And why would you not find 10 to 30 minutes a day to read? Some limiting beliefs on that would be time is always precious, right? Not knowing what to read, not being able to have the privacy in your home life, or it's too demanding, or there are always people around, or maybe just I'm not a reader. Any of these ring true for you about roadblocks to reading a book? Number 5, the soul tool number 5 is going to be let it out. Write at least 100 words a day, preferably on paper, real ink to paper. There's something about writing that gives out that open door, or opens up the door in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. And mindfulness is probably be the biggest, most important skill that I've acquired through my awakening, and journaling is the tool to hone that skill. Point blank. I've challenged you, magnificent souls, on a previous podcast to just begin by writing 100 words a day. It could be something as simple as I am writing, I am writing, I am writing. And the process of opening yourself up to streaming consciousness will begin to morph into you actually tapping in to your thoughts and feelings. So my personal limiting beliefs on journaling were huge. They were so strong, it took me years probably to get over it. And here's what I would say to myself. I'm not a writer. It sounds so shitty. It sounds so dumb. I don't know what to say. Does that sound familiar? What I realized is that these limiting beliefs were only a projection on how I felt about myself. I was judging myself by comparing myself to others. And once I was able to overcome this one, the doors to my mind and consciousness were wide open. And it's a practice that's been huge in my awakening. So there you have it. Those are the 5 soul tools that I use to keep myself aligned every day. And if I veer off track and I don't practice this soul maintenance for a few days, I definitely can feel the misalignment in myself and my body. I urge you to try it out and let me know what you think at epiphanyvault.com. And that's it for today, magnificent souls. Until next time, living and loving.